Hello, I am Zinfogel. Can you believe DNA leaked a May alt when I started working on the May data mine again? I do not believe in coincidence. Anyway, today we're catching up with the Sinnoh Elite Four. Let's get started. First up, we have Aron and Vespiquen, a 5-star bug-type support. Aron is amazing. I regret skipping his guaranteed scout because his kit covers some important niches. Aron's bread and butter is his trainer move. It buffs the party by +2 attack and +1 crit per use. It also applies regeneration on Vespiquen for steady recovery. At 2-5, Aron gains trainer move point refresh 3. So, much like the Shield Doggo, Aron is capable of fixing any physical striker, and that has immeasurable value. I tend to prattle on and on and on about how strikers are not nearly as important as the support they are given. Aron is the kind of support who allows other units to shine. He's the backbone of a team. Of course, you can use him to enable Signature Ready's Haymaker Nuke or whatever, but low-tier strikers demand Aron's buff assortment, and I think that sentiment extends to the bug-type metagame. If you'll notice, most bug-type strikers want attack support. Boxy and Ingo need babysitting. Gosma and Emed want help to engage DPS as soon as possible. Bug types didn't have a good anchor prior to Aron. There was New Year's Lily, yes, she can maximize crit, but her muscle never procs. Of course, you could run Hilbert in lieu of Aron, but you miss out on amenities such as theme skills. Bug types wanted a supporter like Aron for a while. Now, it's easy to reduce Aron to a mere alternative to more established supports, but Aron's outstanding niche is trainer move Precision Pulse 1. When Aron uses his trainer move, he buffs the party's accuracy by 1. Aron can fix strikers with accuracy issues, namely Chris, and there are strikers who have to go out of their way to buff accuracy. People like Mina, Olivia, Malo. Aron spares some setup. But even if you don't care about such strikers, accuracy buffs counteract evasion buffs. And you know how annoying misses can be. Accuracy support is highly coveted. But when paired with Aron's buffing efficiency, he just improves the fluidity of a lot of lineups. So, what else can Aron do? DNA decided to play off Vespiquen's unique brand of moves. We've got Attack Order, Heal Order, and Defend Order. Attack Order is a trigger move with +1 crit, but what's interesting about it is that Aron maximizes his own offense while assisting his teammates. Attack Order coming off Aron's attack is fairly weak. Even on their box zone, Aron doesn't reach the damage threshold of DPS supports like Hope or Signature Blue. But Aron feels like Sawyer. He's not defenseless. That's unlike the barrage of utility supports DNA has been pushing as of late. Next, we have Heal Order. I am sure people have PTSD about it from Sinnoh Champion Stadium. Heal Order costs 1 bar, and it restores Vespiquen by up to 50% of its maximum HP, but it has one use, with no possibility for refreshes anywhere on Aron's grid. Because it's a move, Heal Order can be interrupted by flinch or sleep, unlike Potion. Heal Order is a potent recovery, but you have to be cautious with it. Lastly, we have Defend Order. It costs 1 bar and it buffs Aron's defense and special defense by 1. Something I like about the Aron support options is that they are moves, so they trigger regeneration. Aaron's kit synergizes brilliantly. Knowing all that, we can get to Aaron's passives. Move Gauge Refresh 4 compensates for gauge consumption. Stat Share 9 makes it so when Vespiquen uses a Defend Order, the whole party gets a defense and a special defense buff. And we've got Group Share Healing 1. When Vespiquen uses a Heal Order, the party gets healed by the equivalent of a mini potion all. Heal Order actually restores 70% of Vespiquen's health. Combined with Regeneration, I don't see many situations where you would need a second Heal Order. Aaron is a physical and defensive omnibuffer. He can continuously buff the party's defenses through Defense Crush and Mind Games. Aaron's Gauge is also deceptively good. You might think it sucks because Aaron doesn't buff speed, but Defend Order is a 1-bar spam with a notoriously lengthy animation, and it's backed by MGR4 plus Regeneration. Aaron also has access to Catalyst and Insect Acceleration 2 to facilitate the Dual Strike. So, what are Aaron's weaknesses? Aaron suffers from Roxanne syndrome, sort of. His utmost priority is spamming his trainer move, but in doing so, he has to ignore Defend Order. Defend Order is a slow ramping by nature, so Aaron is wide open to damage at the start of a fight. Aaron is also incapable of rescuing his teammates from perilous situations. He has group share healing, but that's it. You cannot use heal order on someone else, and Aaron's kid lacks safety net. Aaron also doesn't enable a whole lot of multipliers. He can bump Tough Cookie and Smart Cookie, albeit slowly. With Attack Order Staggering 4, he can enable Harry and Fall Fighting. That's fine, but it's nothing revolutionary. This is me being nitpicky though. I am actively looking for reasons to criticize Aaron. He's solid overall. So, Aaron's 1-5 grid has Unbending and Stalwart. These are excellent passives in Legendary Gauntlet. Do you know Aaron can solo Latios at full investment? So the Impervious is just great for a tank. Lithe is also pretty good. Bugwick stages in Champion Stadium are notorious for spamming paralysis. Bugwick Grimsley has Go Barrel 9 Thunderwave, and Bugwick How is a literal paralysis demon. Lithe also blocks Cresselis Thunderwave. Remember, Aaron can buff up to +3 accuracy with the Trainer Move Precision Pulse 1. If you give Aaron Antitoxin as a lucky skill, he can soft check Cresselia if you don't let her use Double Team twice. The 2-5 gains the ever so important Trainer Move Point Refresh 3. Aaron can fully support any physical striker and at a higher refresh rate than Sonya. There are also MGRs and Quick Cure. Most notably, Attack Order has a consistent MGR 9. Insect Healing 1 and Insect Acceleration 2 are box zone passives. If you skip the Costumingo, they are worthless. And even then, I think other pickups have more value. The 3-5 has Trainer Move Precision Pulse 1. This passive is the reason Aaron stands out from other generally supports. Aaron doesn't have to buff accuracy, but the mere access to the buff elevates his value. Then we've got a Natural Remedy, although Aaron usually cannot afford it. Healthy Buffer 5 is cool. Aaron can theoretically maintain it with regeneration after refilling his health with a Heal Order. It's worth considering if Aaron doesn't have anything more important to read. There is also Catalyst, it pairs well with Aaron's 6-star EX. Team Full Bracing Infliction 1 buffs the party by +1 defense and special defense the first time Vespiquen uses Heal Order or Defend Order. Team Strengthening Heal 9 gives the party a physical and a special move up next stack when Aaron uses Heal Order. Aaron's Kid doesn't focus on stacks, but it's a potent passive when paired with a unit who does, such as Anniversary Raihan or Signature Lyra. Lastly, Aaron has Attack Order Staggering 4. That's a 50% chance to flinch. What the hell, dude? Aaron can double as a flinch bot. Attack Order MGR 9 lets you spam it more liberally. Just pair Aaron with a throwaway speed Eggmon and he can cheese legendary arenas effortlessly. Aaron is highly customizable. He has one of those grids where I would adjust tiles depending on the stage. But if you want a no thoughts, head empty grid that you can slap literally anywhere and not have to worry about it, I would do something like this. Train move Point Refresh 3 is borderline mandatory and Precision Pulse covers for evasion gimmicks. Light counters some bug weak stages, and the Pseudo Impervious guarantees Aaron is tanking consistency. Lastly, Attack Order Staggering 4 and the MGR 9 turn Aaron into a reliable flinch bot. If you want Aaron to enable aggressive DPS modes, you can switch gears to offensive utility. Well, Aaron should be a 6-star EX potential first, of course. You want Catalyst to speed up Gauge and Team Strengthening Heal 9 for a brief damage boost. If you pair Aaron with Costumingo, you probably want Boxon Niceties. If I had a 3-5 Aaron, I would prefer other passives over Insect Healing because the added healing is overkill, but it's handy in Legendary Gauntlet. Lastly, Aaron can grab all his tanking tiles, just in case you value defensive consistency more than anything else. Aaron's Kid doesn't have much substance to it. DNA figured out the formula for consistent supports. Offensive buffs plus defensive buffs plus healing plus staggering. And it just works. Aaron is the kind of unit who will get better the more physical strikers are introduced. Up next, we have Bertha and Hippowdon, a 5-star ground-type deck. Bertha is a much-needed update for the ground-type scene. She's the first ground-type introduced in the 5-star general pool halfway through the year 2022. Can you imagine that? As you would expect, Bertha plays for Sandstorm. She has Sand Summoner. It's the combination of Sandkicker plus Sand Shelter, and she has Sandstorm on her base kit. Right off the bat, we have to put Bertha in the same basket as the other Sand Setters. A field effect automatically draws you to the archetype, so I will give you a crash course on what Bertha's competitors do. Acerola buffs attack, crit, and she can flinch. Tech Kabutops activates rock-type skills and debuffs speed. OG Ingo buffs attack, special attack, speed, crit, and he gives free gauges. Anniversary Raihan gives super effective up next, move up next stacks, and a whole host of random garbage I am not going to get into. I already made a video on that. Back with Bertha, her trainer move buffs +1 defense, +1 special defense, and +1 crit under sand. She uniquely inflicts a trap with Sand Tomb, and Sand Slinger allows her to debuff attack when she attacks under sand. Currently, no Sand Abuser has trap or attack debuff multipliers, which limits Bertha's utility to her buffs. Your first instinct might be pairing Bertha with OG Cynthia. They have a good regional cohesion because they activate ground and Sinnoh theme skills. The problem there is that Bertha does nothing to help Cynthia beyond setting sand. You could say, Oh, Bertha maximizes crit, so Cynthia can focus on using X attack. But remember, Cynthia wants to use her trainer move to cap out ramming speed, which happens to buff crit at the same time. Cynthia actually favors attack support. She would rather partner with Acerola for Sandstorm Flag Bearer. The other Sand Striker Bertha could help out is Tough Cookie Raihan. Raihan handles his own special attack with Ferocious Entry 4. So Bertha covers Raihan's crit, Tough Cookie, and Sand multipliers. Sounds great. The problem with Tough Cookie Raihan is that he cannot grid entry passives. The whole reason Raihan is a monster of a striker is because he hammers damage relentlessly from turn 1. When you sacrifice that one turn of damage, his overall DPS falters. Furthermore, Raihan wants Palentine's Marnie as a third for Steel Zone. In a Bertha plus Marnie lineup, Raihan is unable to maximize his special attack. Grand Entry 2 is just out of reach. Plus 4 special attack Tough Cookie Raihan is not much different from plus 6 special attack Raihan who attacks turn 1, which is achievable with Ingo. I am not saying Bertha shouldn't partner with Raihan, but she's not doing anything Ingo cannot achieve. And when you consider the horrifying gauge issues Bertha plus Raihan are going to have, it casts doubt on the practicality of the core. Those are the two fringe use cases where I would say Bertha is the optimal Sunsetter. But even then, I would rather use Ingo to enable Dual Strike. Just because Bertha and Ingo both crit, it doesn't mean they are in the same breath of the Sun metagame conversation. Ingo is just playing better at enabling offense, and Sun Summoner hardly makes a difference for Bertha. Ingo and Anniversary Raihan want to use Sandstorm turn 1 to accumulate buffs. I know we have to respect our elders, and I know I am going to sound harsh, but I think Bertha is a failure of a Sand enabler. It's just very difficult to compete with Ingo. Bertha arrived a little too late on the game's life cycle. With all that said, are there reasons to use Bertha? Bertha is full grid, has Team Sharp Entry 1. Her trainer move already buffs plus 2 crit in a couple turns, so she can maximize crit for the party, which is very valuable. Hippowdon is also a hell of a tank. Bertha has a multitude of passives to improve her bulk. You've got Surin Sand 1 and trainer move Hidden Heal 9. Combined, that's 12.5% HP recovery per action taken under Sand. Sandcastle 2 filters move damage by 20% under Sandstorm. Bertha's bulk is just decent, so this passive really improves her tankiness. And Bertha can bump attack debuffs with an extra Sandslinger tile. I think Bertha's attack debuffs are severely underutilized. I have seen a dozen Bertha showcases and none of them bother with Sandslinger. Bertha may not facilitate Sand offense as well as Ingo can, but she plays for the long game. She ensures her party's survival. It's healthier to look at Bertha as a reliable tank with specialty tools. Bertha can set up a Tough Cookie, a Smart Cookie, Fall Fighting, Power Posture, and their sync derivatives while maximizing crit. Bertha's utility is not limited to Sand. Bertha's kit also emphasizes recoil damage. Sandtomb won't be decimating enemies anytime soon, trust me. So Bertha tries to punish enemies for attacking. Japanese players agree that Bertha's primary function is buffing the efficiency of a stall. She has Poketrap 5, Sandstorm, and Stealth. Oh boy, any singles players in the chat? Stealth in Pokemon Masters is not anywhere near as oppressive though. It just deals cheap damage when an enemy takes action, but the damage is negligible. It's of similar quality to Sandstorm Recoil, and DNA went out of its way to retroactively add Stealth resistance to every stage in the game. Stealth actually does less than 1% HP of recoil. The last nail on Stealth's coffin is that it wears off over time. It's nearly useless. There are pros and cons to Bertha's passive damage. Poketrap 5 chunks sides, and the combination of Trap, Sandstorm, and Stealth recoil counteracts the gradual healing option into Game Master mode. Bertha adds so many recoil animations, she inadvertently generates gauge. On the other hand, those very same animations eat away at Sandy's lifespan. Sandstorm by itself is self-sabotaging. It wears off much earlier than Rain or Sun due to the Sand recoil animation. But thanks to Bertha's little stall antics, her Sandstorm effectively lasts for a couple turns. She would have really benefited from Sandalor 5, but oh well. As for Bertha's grid, 1-5 has a couple immunities, although they rarely come into play. 2-5 has Soothing Sand 1 and Terrain Move Hidden Heal 9 for recovery. Shifting Sand buffs +1 evasion when Sand is up. Sands of Time 2 improves move gauge. But at full investment, Bertha can assert an identity. She gains Trap and Sink 5, Sand Blaster 9, and Sinking Tiles. Bertha has a strong nuke, and it's exceptionally easy to set up. She only needs attack buffs. Bertha handles the rest in a couple turns. Now I can tell you, okay sure, Bertha and Cynthia make a solid core. If you pair them with Fall Kaylin, their strengths combined make up the opportunity cost of using a superior ground-type striker. Bertha and Fall Kaylin allow Cynthia to spam Earthquake turn 1. Bertha can delete center with her nuke, and she can complement Cynthia's DPS with Poketrap 5 to manhandle the sides. Bertha also gains an additional Sandslinger tile. She can debuff attack at the same pace as Charm. Bertha offers unique roll compression for pecking order nukes because she maximizes crit. Bertha can support Darak and Palentine's Marnie, for example. You could use her with Mallow and Fall Kaylin. Bertha can enable Pecking Order Dawn, who has the advantage of a 6-star EX buff. And you can get real creative with Bertha. You could run her with Cynthia plus Masker Royal. Bertha can complete Royal's crit and Terrify 2, while Royal buffs Cynthia's speed. Besides that, Greedy Guardian 3 and Endurance help Bertha tank more consistently, but she doesn't need the passives per se. She's tanky enough as is. I recommend Bertha's nuke above all else. It just gives her a strong niche. Bertha's nuking tiles are closer together, so there are a lot of ways you could approach this grid. Me personally, I like guaranteeing Sandtomb accuracy, and Team Sharp Entry 1 is a really good passive. Besides that, there is the Sandslinger mode. Physical moves won't be able to break through Bertha at -6 attack, and this mode can enable Pecking Order and Power Posture. Lastly, you could run Bertha purely as a tank. Bertha typically wants her nuke or Sandslinger to justify a niche, but there are structures that appreciate Trap plus Crit roll compression, like Karen plus Sinexus Cyrus, for example. Bertha can enable fault finding for Karen while hastening her setup. Team Sharp Entry 1 appears redundant, but it's insurance in case Bertha fails the train move point refresh. Bertha is alright for a general pool character. Yeah, Ingo makes her life difficult, but when you let Bertha use her completed toolkit, she can anchor for unique team structures. Worst case scenario, she makes for a great sand tank in Legendary Gauntlet. I think Bertha is underplayed at current. Last but not least, we have Lucian and Girafarig, a 5-star Psychic type tech. First of all, I am a slut for a well-dressed man. But my boy Lucian has the exact brand of debuffs I salivate over. Lucian's trademark is Growl, a 1-bar spam that debuffs the attack of all enemies by 1 stage. But Lucian complements Growl with 2 amazing passives. Team Viral Hustle 9 buffs the party's speed by 1 when Lucian uses Growl. Stupefy 9 debuffs the special defense when one of Lucian's moves is successful. That includes both Growl and Confusion. Lucian's Growl actually does 3 things at once. It debuffs attack, it debuffs special defense, and it buffs speed. All by area of effect. Special defense debuffs are extraordinarily rare as it is. Lucian is on the same echelon as the best debuffers in the game. The value of mindlessly spamming Growl is unreal. Lucian essentially acts as a multiplier. If the rest of your party is very well rounded already, you can afford Lucian to enhance literally any special striker in the game. It's an effective strategy. I had a phase where I used Kukui to fix physical strikers, garbage like Clay included. But the thing is that Growl inherently neuters the enemy's offense. That makes Lucian more valuable than a pure Learbot, because Growl offers a couple utilities at once. But what pushes Lucian's Growl too far is its gauge generation. Growl is very easy to spam as it is. It costs 1 bar and it has a lengthy animation. But Team Battle Hustle 9 gradually improves the gauge the more you spam Growl. Lucian can set up Brain Teaser, Power Posture, Ramming Speed, and their sync derivatives. But even when Lucian doesn't directly set up a multiplier, special defense debuffs achieve results on their own. It becomes more of a question on whether you want to run Lucian or a field effect. Special defense debuffs are weaker than a straight multiplier, so they are not interchangeable. But the fact of the matter is that Lucian works as a blanket support for a special offense. I think Lucian is right up there with Mask Royal and Champion Iris. The difference is Growl doesn't deal damage and it's slow ramping. But when you account the whole of Lucian's kit, the best thing he can do is spam Growl turn 1. At a minimum, he reaches -4 debuffs by the time Fierce Sync is ready. Something I like about Lucian is his consistency. For example, if Champion Iris wants to debuff defenses, she has to proc Defense Crush 2 or Mind Games 2 as a lucky skill. Mask Royal is Dishearten 9 debuffs attack and or defense, but the debuffs are chosen at random. Sometimes Dishearten fails to debuff the stat you need. And Royal also wants to use his train move, which results in less overall debuffs. You could also compare Lucian to Palatine's Dawn, because they share the same debuffing kit. Donnie's debuffs are more focused, but she has to choose between Charm or Fake Tears at a time, and her spread debuffs depend on Ripple Effect 4. On the other hand, Growl doesn't have any RNG to it, and Lucian doesn't have to split his attention between other tasks. He sets himself out to spawn Growl, and spam Growl he will. And you know what's funny? Growl could be Lucian's only move, and he would still be useful. We haven't even touched the rest of Lucian's kit. Lucian's innate tech multiplier is Smarty Pants, and he has Pecking Order as a passive. That's really cool because Lucian takes direct advantage of his debuffs. Smarty Pants is particularly abusive because special defense debuffs already weaken the enemy. Remember, Lucian is a psychic type, so you can bump his Nook with a psychic terrain. For a 1-5 kid, this Nook is competitive. Lucian, at his peak, surpasses Lear. Of course, that counts for a full grid, -6 attack, -6 special defense. Lear still beats Lucian if you bring Lucian to support him. But the point is, Lucian's Nook is nothing short of impressive. The problem with Lucian's Nooking modes is that he needs 6 turns to fully bump Smarty Pants and Pecking Order by himself. That's very difficult to achieve first sync. But Lucian doesn't need to fully bump his Nook to delete center mons. Healthy Superhit gets the job done at -3 debuffs, so you could bring Bianca and Sabrina to assist Lucian for an adequate Nook. Bianca handles DPS afterwards, so it's fair game. Alternatively, Lucian can deny a left first sync and delete center second sync, but in both instances, Lucian can do nothing but spam Growl, so he needs offensive support. That sounds oxymoronic because Lucian is self-sufficient. He has X special attack and his trigger move buffs +2 crit, +1 defense, and +1 special defense while adding regeneration. Lucian is well-rounded both offensively and defensively. But Lucian is so good at debuffing. His team compositions are better off when he spams Growl. It's an interesting dichotomy. Growl is a potent asset. So good, in fact, it forces Lucian into neglecting his other functions. Saving worst for last, we have Confusion. It's pathetic. It can do surprising numbers with Fall Fighting 9 under Psychic Terrain and at -6 special defense, but more often than not, you cannot even use Confusion to set up denials. Even if Lucian had a better move to use, he would rather use Growl. I think it goes without saying that I love Lucian. He fits my playstyle like a glove. I think Lucian is the most brainless debuffer to date, and Growly's utility can surprise you if you give it a chance. 1-5 Lucian has a good chunk of defensive passives, but they rarely come into play. Dauntless blocks opposing Snarl and Discourage, Unflappable blocks flinches. Wide Awake and Haste are borderline useless, but they sure exist. Lucian also has move point refreshes at 1-5. He's one of those sync pairs who feels about the same at 1-5 and at full investment. The grid just offers amenities. At 2-5, Lucian can fix Confusion with Fall Fighting 9. He can activate it with Confusion Aggravation 4 at 3-5, but I heavily recommend against DPS Lucian, not even for the funny meme. He deals more quote-unquote damage by spamming Growl for 6-star EX Giovanni. More importantly, 2-5 has dominating Sync 2 and some sinking tiles. Lucian also gains Bursting. Now, this is an underplayed passive. We just established Lucian doesn't benefit from confusion in the slightest. All Lucian ever does is click Growl and rarely his trainer move. So Lucian can conserve Bursting until he wants to nuke. Lucian also has some Psychic Terrain passives. Weird Recovery 1 is handy, but Precognition 2 is overkill. Lucian's Gauge is impeccable as it is. Speaking of overkill, 3-5 Lucian has Growl Charging Infliction 2. When Lucian uses Growl, he recharges 2 gauges. That's so fucking funny. I am not sure what kind of dual strike Lucian could anchor for that would merit this much gauge. Maybe Anniversary Lily plus Renegade Cynthia? Remember, Lucian can frontline. Girafarig is bulky, and Lucian's trainer move complements that very well. Lucian can solo Latios, which is the mark of a self-sustaining tank. Case in point, there are lineups that Charging Infliction 2 serves well. X Special Attack Ramp Up 1 helps Lucian maximize his special attack. At full investment, Lucian has 6 sinking tiles. He cannot grab them all, but this abundance of tiles is a large reason for why Lucian matches Liari's nuke strength. Lucian also gains Catalyst, Adrenaline 1, and Healthy Superheat to complement his sync. They all have their use cases. The thing about the Lucian's grid is that it emphasizes his nuke, which you may or may not want to use. Why would you nuke with Lucian when you could nuke with 6-star EX Giovanni or Sinazul Lusamine? Over here I have agreed grounded for utility, but I only skipped the Lucian is nuking tiles. If you want to humor nuke Lucian, his potency will surprise you. He out-nukes a lot of strikers, even off-type. I would play for Bursting. You can drop a Weird Recovery for Healthy Superhit, but that's overkill. Growl Charging Infliction 2 is also a strong consideration because it facilitates rotations. If you want the Confusion meme, here you go. I am sickened, yet curious to see how it would look like. I have no clue how you could possibly justify DPS Lucian, but it probably involves Gobsmack 4 beat. But honestly, Lucian is all about Growl. He has his whole kit at base, so you can get a lot of mileage out of him. And with that, we are done with the Sinnoh Elite 4. Now I'm gonna catch up with the Yoro Sync grids. Thank you for watching, take care, and I hope to see you another time.